Hello and welcome to Happy Hour with Ena Sarkar. This show is all about getting deeper into the lives of successful people and to really understand what it took for them to be a star and how they deal with it at the top. So stay tuned. When I thought of the show, the first guest that came to my mind was Srijith, and I told him why he is my first guest, because I met him. I could not imagine that a person of that stature, a star like him, could be so down to earth, spoke so well, had a great sense of humor. I said, hey Srijith, if I start the show, you're going to be my first guest. And there he is, the man of the hour, Srijith Gopinathan. And I'm going to be telling you all about him in a little bit.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for joining us. Thanks a lot. Let's start.
Well, Srijith, tell me first, how are you doing? A very simple question. How are you?
Fantastic.
How do you feel?
Feeling very good. Awesome. Thanks for having me here. Great.
Okay, great. I love people who feel great all the time. So let's first delve deep into your childhood. I mean, that's where we start. Like, when was the time you decided to be a chef, and what was that moment like, and how did you get triggered? Like, it's not something that every day everyone imagines to be a chef. What was it, that moment like for you?
You know, if out of my after my +2, I was looking to join some college. The goal was to become an engineer, because my mom told me to do that. Because so I went to Bangalore, looking for a good engineering college because I didn't score very high. Bangalore is a place where I could get into a private school, private college, pay some buck. Went around, looked for a college, stayed there for like 3 to 4 months. I thought this is not going to work because first of all, it was not in Bangalore. There's no fun of Bangalore being in a suburb. You don't get to enjoy Bangalore. All selfish goals here. so came back to Bangalore. My dad used to work there. I given entrance for all the schools and for hotel management. That was the next easiest thing. So I got through one. I decided to go. I thought I was going to become some manager in some hotel. That's what I thought. Okay, I'll do that. Completely clueless. I joined this college in Bangalore. I did my first year. Second year I go for trainings. You have this industrial trainings. They'll let you go to a hotel and work as an industrial trainee. 2 months, 6 months. So out of that 2 months, you're supposed to be in kitchen. So that 2 months changed everything for me. Like, that's when I decided, this is fun. You get to eat good food. Okay. So now the next challenge is, how do I present it to my mom? Being a chef, Jesus. So I told her, this is what I want to do. I think second year after industrial training, I got like a month vacation. I went home and I told my grandmother, because grandmother was a character at home. Like, so she asked me, so what are you doing? Like, what do you do? I said, I'm doing hotel management. And she had by then already figured out what this whole thing is. So the first thing she asked was, so what do you actually do? So I tried, struggled. In her mind, she is looking at a little restaurant in back home wherein they serve you food, and there is somebody who sits in the front left side with a little table and 2 drawers. So that's the highest job in that place. So she's thinking, I must, because if I'm educated, I must be that guy. So what do you do is sit, so why do you have to study for 3 years to sit in that little chair? I said, which chair? The chair, the table. When you go there, the people pay you money and then you put that cash in the drawer. So that's the whole setup. Like when you say, so I had to convince her a lot, saying that, no, not that. So I'll take you to Bangalore, I'll show you big hotels. There's a lot to do in there. She's not convinced. She said, I don't know. You have to study 3 years to do that. So that's where I left it. Then my mom, my brother was a studious kid. She asked him to do, became an engineer, he works for TCS now and all those things. I was just telling somebody the story. So all those things. So my story from there is after the second year of industrial training, I got a job in the same place after finishing there because I knew a few people. That's where everything started. That's when I started, okay, I wanted to cook commercially. Until then, I enjoyed eating food and never thought I would cook for a living.
Well, you thought of that at that time when food was really not the mainstream career for anyone. How did you change that to become a mainstream chef?
For me, it was a mainstream then because
I mean, like going back to your grandmom who
oh
thought
yeah,
that it was supposed
you mean
to be...
it's like as a career?
Yeah.
I could not go back home. My mom will just chase me out of the house. Okay, I couldn't do that anyway, so I had to work somewhere. So I got a job at Oberoi, Bangalore, MG Road. I got my first job and I worked there for 1.5 years. Yeah, 1.5 years. But by then, the TV started, you started seeing Sanjeev Kapoor cooking on TV already. You know, that guy was my biggest hero because he made it popular. At least I could just tell, look at the guy, he's on TV. Someday I could be on the TV. That was the whole hope. Not for me, at least to convince somebody. That's how it all started. From there, I moved to Maldives, then I decided to go to London to train myself a couple of years. From there, I came to East Coast here in US to do a year in Culinary Maestro of America. Those days, it was like $13,000. Can you imagine? Just make that, convert that into rupees. It's a lot of money these days. So all those things. And then I got a job in Maldives with Taj Exotic. I was the opening chef there and all those things. From there, yeah, Middle East. I'm a Malayali, so you have to visit Middle East. You have to go. How can you not go to Dubai for a bit?
Sounds like you became very passionate about food, right?
Oh, totally,
I mean,
totally.
What was about food that attracted you the most? Like you left all other things and you said that, I'm going to devote my food, be a chef and be very good at it. So there must have been something about food per se that attracted you. What about that?
3 things I really enjoyed always. One is cooking food for myself and then reading history and then gardening. My mom already told me she's a botany teacher. So she has this thing against all this history and English students, like art students. Oh, that's a bad thing. You don't get any jobs. So that's in my brain, So, and then, don't even go near hotel management. She hated that. Like, forget about it. Cooking, hotel management, none of those things work. So it was all like me swimming against the current. So by the time I cooked for 1 or 2 years, I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I also told myself I really wanted to do it well. Like I go train with somebody really cool. So something else happened because of that. So first 6 years, I did not cook anything Indian because Indian chefs those days don't teach how to cook. Don't teach you. Because in commercial world, where in hotels, you're making a biryani and you're basically helping the chef, right? Just go give stuff and all those things. And when that right moment comes when the secret ingredient goes in, he'll let you go pick up something. By the time you go pick up and comes already gone in. Okay, now I'm thinking what is the recipe now? Because you don't record recipes. Those days you don't record recipes. So at that point I decided, screw this. I'm going to just learn Western food.
Okay.
So those days in hotels back home, they always used to have these Western menus, just that nobody buys it.
Okay.
Okay, there are like 5 dishes in India you'll have. The most famous dish is fish and chips. Trust me, that was a dish then, those days. That's the highest selling Western dish in any hotel. Think about it. So the opportunity to learn Western food was almost zero. You can't learn anything. There's a thing called coffee shops in Indian hotels. They call it coffee shop. Not because they get coffee, because they also get coffee there. It's a huge buffet, which happens all the time. Indians love buffets.
Let's talk a little bit about Michelin-Starred. I mean, I'm sure everyone's interested to know about Michelin-Starred. You came to a coffee shop restaurant in San Francisco, which is called Taj Campton. How did you get the Michelin-Starred? And what does it really take to get Michelin-Starred?
Honestly, I worked for a Michelin-Starred chef in Oxford. It's called Le Manoir Quatre Saisons, which is a classic French kind of chef who cooked in England. So that's where I spent some time. So I got a clue from him how this whole thing works. But at that point, I thought that there is no way a brown guy is going to get it. So forget about that. So that's not going to happen. Because that's my thing which is telling your mind. But to know this whole thing, I went over there, I worked, I learned everything, came back to Maldives. I worked, did a lot of small little gigs and all those things. So I was in Culinary Institute of America in Hudson Valley. So I went to CIA to study Culinary Institute of America, not to study again. I went there for an opportunity to come to New York because 6 months of being there or 8 months of being there, my goal was the first thing when I went to Hudson Valley, first thing I did was, how much time does it take from Hudson Valley to New York City? That was my whole thing because that's where you get good food. So how much time does it take? I think if I remember, the train takes 1 hour 15 minutes. I can't remember now, something like that. So I made a point to buy those tickets which you can actually, you buy monthly pass or something like that. So I used to make a point to go to New York City every day.
Wow.
To
eat food.
To eat food, to find out what's happening, how does this whole thing work? Because in this industry, theory can only take you that far. You really need to know it, like firsthand. You really need to know that. So I went around, sometimes I go, I may not have money, whatever money I had, I used to spend. If you go to Nobu one day, the next 10 days you're eating hot dog. Because you don't have a lot of money there. So then you wait for that day. So you go around and eat and all those things. And like big restaurants like Masters and Per se was not, I think Per se was there. Those, of course, I didn't have money. I figured out how does this, what is that difference between these great restaurants and good restaurants and not so good restaurants. So there I found out a lot. London is one place, New York is another place. Of course, San Francisco, when I came here, I made a point to go every possible place. See, so that gave me a lot of experience, where like 6-7 months of just being that guy who goes to New York City every day, sees what is there and all those things. Whatever I could eat, I eat. So I made note of all these things. What do these guys do? Then I got this opportunity to come to San Francisco, right? So Campton Place is known, those days it was, I think it started off with 40 years old. So then when I came in, so it was Bradley Ogden, he was a American popular chef, then Laurent Manrique, French, and Daniel Hum. I mean, all kind of chefs. So me coming from south of South India. So first day I came there, I never had any Michelin goals, even though inside my mind I told myself, someday I could make this a good, really good restaurant. Michelin-Starred was never my thing. There's nothing like that. I didn't even have that at this thing. So anyways, this happened. I get this opportunity to, Taj gave me a little gig here. I got in here as a chef and all those things. 2007 November, I came here. And I got here, it took me like 3 or 4 months to settle down. Moment I felt I got settled down, here comes the 2008 crash. So nobody goes to expensive restaurants to eat. So all the expensive restaurants are empty. So gone. Now I don't have a lot of control at that place at that point, because it was owned by a very big company called Tata's Taj and all those things. So I knew I'll get a paycheck. Just stayed around for like a year or two or so. But that 1.5, 2 years really helped, because I didn't have a lot of work to do, because it was just a dead restaurant. 5 people an evening, sometimes 10. So it was fun. So what I was doing was I was actually making use of all my notes I made when I was in New York, when I was in London. So I made all these things. I decided to test out things for myself. I didn't even give it to my colleagues because I wanted to see where can I fit in. So 2009, I launched a new menu at that point. Like I did. So at that point, I decided, okay, I knew how to do Western food really well. I could do a California menu and all those things. I decided that at this point, if I do a very California menu like anybody's doing here, why would somebody buy a Californian or a French food made by an Indian dude?
No, so was Taj Campton
Campton Place.
American restaurant at that time?
Yeah, it was.
You changed it to becoming an Indian cuisine?
So Taj Campton Place was never a restaurant with a concept. Taj Campton Place was a restaurant where, no, it's a restaurant, but chefs, every time the chefs changed, the concept changed. So as a French chef, it was French. A Swiss chef, it was kind of a French-Swiss kind of a thing. So it kept changing. So I didn't have the audacity to do Indian because I'm Indian. Because that's very different. You just can't do it. It's not, and nobody's going to let me do it also. It was tough. So I decided, okay, but fortunately, unlike many Indian chefs, I really know how to cook Western food. So I decided to go with the flow and do something. But inside my mind, I was telling myself, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. If I have to convince somebody here, I have to do something which I am used to. That's when I decided, okay, let me embrace my ethnicity. So I couldn't go that steep as South Indian at that point. I did, okay, Indian. So I brought up this Indian thing. That's when I coined this word called Cal-Indian. Like, somebody actually asked me, is it Calcutta Indian? I said, no, it's California Indian. California Indian thing came up. That name really clicked. So 2010, people are recovering their money on the market and people are getting back to that thing. So we started slowly. 2009 when I launched, 2010 it took off. 2010 and we got a Michelin-Starred. I got a call saying that, hey, you invited for this event. I thought somebody is scamming me. Those days scams are not as popular as today. Today's scams are very popular. So I got a call saying that evening there's an event by Michelin. I went over there. I saw some of these gods standing there. Thomas Keller was standing in the corner. So Jesus Christ. So that was an amazing moment. We got a first star in 2010. And then.
So what do they really do? I mean, you have to present the food, they taste it, and they ask you what.
I wish I knew that. There's nothing like that. That's the best part about Michelin.
How do they judge?
You don't know.
Oh.
You have no idea.
Okay.
You have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. So they come, they do their thing, and they do, I think, 3 or 4 times or so. That's what they tell me. I don't know. I mean, they say that we were there three times. Maybe they came 3, maybe they came 4, maybe they never came. I don't know. But they do come. That's how they do it. And that's the difference between them and the others. Because it's very hard to catch them. And it's not like a high-profile taster who's coming there and writing an Yelp review about the whole thing. That's not how it works. So they just do their thing.